In Genesis, we read about Jacob who wrestled with God. In Genesis 32, verses 22 to 29, it says this: "And he arose that night, and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. He took them, sent them over the brook, and sent over what he had. Then Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, 'Let me go, for the day breaks.' But he said, 'I will not let you go unless you bless me.' So he said to him, 'What is your name?' He said, 'Jacob.' And he said, 'Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed.' Then Jacob asked, saying, 'Tell me your name, I pray.' And he said, 'Why is it that you ask about my name?' And he blessed him there. Jacob wrestled with God until the breaking of day. Jacob chose not to let go until God blessed him. He could have given up. He could have gotten discouraged, and he could have gotten tired and weary and just quit. But no, Jacob chose not to let go until God blessed him. Many of you may feel as if you are in a wilderness season, a season where you have struggled so hard to keep going, a season where things just seem to go wrong, and a season that never seems to end. But don't quit. Not now, not ever. Just as Jacob did not let go until God blessed him, you too need to keep going and don't let go, because God will bless you. Do you see what came first when we read these scriptures? What came first was the struggle. He had to wrestle and struggle before receiving the blessing. Before Jacob wrestled with God in Genesis 31, verses 1 to 13, it says this: "Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, 'Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired all his wealth.' And Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not favorable toward him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, 'Return to the land of your fathers and to your family, and I will be with you.' So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field, to his flock, and said to them, 'I see your father's countenance, that it is not favorable toward me as before. But the God of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said thus, the streaks shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So God has taken away the livestock of your father, and given them to me. And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived, that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, 'Jacob.' And I said, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Lift your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family.' And even before this, in Genesis 28, verses 20 to 21, it says this: 'Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God.' And then even before this, in Genesis 28, verses 11 to 15, it says, 'When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west, and to the east, to the north, and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you, and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you.'" So here we see all of the promises that God gave to Jacob. God told Jacob, I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. So Jacob could have chosen to believe what his circumstances looked like, that his brother Esau, who was meeting him, was coming to attack him. In these moments, Jacob had a choice. He could hide and flee, or he could trust God and trust the promises that he made to him. And we see that Jacob's words showed that he remembered God's promises to him. Because before Jacob wrestled with God, he said this. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, Return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me, and the mother with the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well, and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. Genesis 32 verses 9 to 12. If Jacob had quit, doubted what God had promised, and chose to let fear get the better of him, would he have gotten that blessing? Jacob chose to hold on, even when in verse 26 he is told to let go. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. But Jacob's response should be our response as well. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Yes, this season may be difficult. You may even feel at times as if you are barely hanging on. But don't quit, because at the end of all the struggle, and at the end of all your pain, there is a blessing. Not only in the next life, but also in this life. In Psalm 27 verse 13 it says this, I remain confident of this, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. We know that our future is with God. We know that Jesus went back to prepare a place for us, and we know that there are many rooms for us all. We know that in the end, God will wipe away every tear from our eyes. We know all of these things, but are you also hoping in the here and now? Are you believing that God will work all things together for your good? Do you believe that? Don't let the struggle deter you. Let it make you stronger, knowing that at the end of it, God has something beautiful in store just for you, the one He loves. Thank you so much for listening, and remember that God has so much in store for you. Listen to these verses again. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray-spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. God saw what Laban was doing to him. God saw Jacob's affliction, and he sees yours too. Jacob stayed with Laban for 20 years before going back to his family. 20 years. But even though he suffered along the way, God was always with him, even in those struggles. And remember that Jacob had to struggle before he received the blessing. You may be struggling now, but nothing and no one will take the blessings that God has prepared for you. In Job 42 verse 2 it says this, I know that you can do everything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. What God has purposed to do in your life, no one can take that away from you. Not the person causing you opposition, not the devil, and not the mountain you feel is sitting in front of you. Because God, there is no one greater than our God. What He says He will do, believe me when I say He will do it. God tells you that He is with you, and God tells you that He will work all things together for your good. Believe Him. And in the meantime, your job is to keep fighting, keep persevering, and never give up. Trust God to do the rest.